where do you hope to focus at Auburn? Do you have some prior connections to the Southeast and recruiting base?
Well, when it comes to recruiting and it comes to the university, that was something that Jay and I talked about during the process. And for me, it's real simple. If you know baseball and you know talent, and you have a proven university that young men desire to go to, it's an easy fit. And so I will tell you this, we know Atlanta, we know the East Cobb League, of course. There's not a quality program in the United States that doesn't. And you know what, we have had athletes in the past, in the previous stop, where we've recruited from Florida all the way to California. Now, as far as right here in this hotbed, it's been tougher to pull them out of the SEC conference, being a Big 12. But now, being here at Auburn University, these young men are going to desire coming and playing here at this university. It's very simple. You drive around this campus, and I can only imagine what it's going to be like on football game day when we're recruiting them and bringing them in. But beautiful campus, and Jay and I talked about this. You can have brick and mortar, you can spend a lot of money, you can have beautiful things, but the people that are showing you those things and the people that you're going to be working with aren't also beautiful people. It won't matter, and that is where we've been the most impressed. Beautiful people. So the question about recruiting is not going to be a problem. We're going to hit the ground with our feet running, and we're going to go out and we're going to win those battles. And I love the part of that. That part of the job. I love the chase. I love the competition. And in my business with Jay, you win your NCAA bid, you win your championships in the summer and in the fall. In the springtime, you have the pleasure of watching them play. You might call a bunt and hit and run, but your training's already been done, and you stay after them. You stay focused on what you taught them, and you've got to have the right athletes and the right character on the field doing that.
So you're obviously leaving a lot at Oklahoma. When was it in the past week that you knew that you were making this move? What was the moment? What was that persuasion?
Well, the minute I met Jay Jacobs, the intrigue is because of the university. The intrigue is because of what Coach Baird has done here in the past. I had a couple of brief conversations with Coach Baird, but when I met Jay, and I knew there was a commitment to winning championships. And sometimes when you sit down with people, you just hit it off, and you know. And I'm one of those people. I know in my gut. I know when to make the pitching change. I know when to call the hit and run. I'll know when to lay down that bunt, and I'll also know when to make a move. We've been offered opportunities. I won't get into the particular schools, but I've had the opportunity to come to the SEC conference in the past, and it wasn't the right time in life. And we're about teaching life lessons, not just squaring up a baseball, and not just about letting it fly defensively and getting on the mound and pounding the strike zone. And our student athletes are going to understand in their life, for the rest of their life, that God has a plan and He has a flow to your life. And sometimes you try to speed that up and you get into some roaring rapids and you end up running into a waterfall. And that's not desirable, but you also don't want to sit there on the side and be in stagnant water. So the timing of life was perfect. And I know that God has had His hand on this move, and I also know that the destination, for us is to be right here speaking with you at this time. And so I knew for sure once I met Jay Jacobs, I couldn't get my family here quick enough to meet him.
Coach, could you talk about your staff? Have you got anybody lined up yet?
Yeah, I've got a couple of staff members, as a matter of fact, that's made the trip with me here, and they got to make sure that their family is on board before I actually announce them, but everything looks really good, and that's part of putting together. You're only as good as the people around you, and we're going to make sure we're surrounded with quality people, not just in our coaching staff, but support staff, our student athletes, everyone, and make sure that everybody understands and buys in. Baseball and coaching baseball and the program is a system. It's that simple. And the system's solid, the system's proven, the system will win, and it's about discipline, it's about commitment, and it's about passion and love for the game. I've not heard one umpire crawl back behind that play and say, okay, work ball. He says play ball. So we're very fortunate we get to play, and coaches that are going to come are going to have a smile on their face, and they're going to coach them up and teach them up. And I've always said this, players don't necessarily want to know how much you know. I mean, you're not going to get the You're not going to get the blessed opportunity to be the head baseball coach at Auburn University and be a part of this great community and this family. Jay Jacobs is not going to give you that opportunity unless you know what you're doing. So those student athletes trust the administration. They're going to know that they have a coaching staff that knows what they want to know is how much we care about it. And that's where we'll make it sure. I've never coached a player. When I go in and recruit, when my coaches go in, we're not going to lie to them and say, hey, we love you, we just met you. But what we tell them is within a year in our program, we're going to grow to love you. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And we want them to come and we want them to be a part of our family, not just for the time they compete here, but for life.
It seems to me like pitching and defense are pretty urgent issues in college baseball with the bats come down. Talk about your philosophy of coaching college baseball, what's important to you in your team's play.
Well, pitching and defense are what win championships. There's no doubt about that. And, fortunately we had that, but then you've got to be able to score some runs once that pitching and defense is shutting them down. And so that's really where the game has changed, and you have to change with the game. The student athletes have also changed over the course of time. That's one of the things that Coach Baird and I talked about. In the old school day, and you didn't have limitations. If you wanted to practice for 6 hours, you could do that. But we weren't smart enough back in the 90s to understand we were probably losing those student athletes after the third or fourth hour. We were pretty much coaching that last hour for ourselves. But you know what? You got to get them on the yard. You got to make them understand it's about today. And it's about what we need to do to be better today. And it's about pitching and defense. And then we're going to put to answer your question, we're going to put a lot of pressure on our opponents. We're going to, get moving. We're going to have guys that can steal bases. We had a tremendous compliment, and at the time, I laughed about it, but it's by somebody that I respected in our conference. But they called us at Oklahoma, like Cal State Fullerton of the Midwest, because of the way we play the game. We're going to put a tremendous amount of pressure. And the comment was, you don't know what they're going to do or when they're going to do it, but they're going to do it. And so that kind of sums it up. You don't have to know when we're going to or how we're going to, but we're going to do it. And we're going to keep you on your toes, and we're going to make you play defense. We're going to make you pitch to beat us. And, there's philosophies that are going to be and part of the system. When we're up, we will make you throw us out. And if we're behind, we won't take as many risks as far as trying to score that extra run at home. We'll let the next guy drive us in. But it's all part of baseball. Baseball, to me, is a risk versus reward sport. And you've got to teach your student athletes that. And once they understand that and they grasp the concept and they understand that they are really one, playing a team sport, because you got one guy going to the plate. And the last thing that I'll elaborate on with that is about the mental toughness. You've got to play this sport. I mean, let's think about it. You're going to fail 7 out of 10 times at the plate. I don't think Coach Malzahn's going to be okay with that if that's our completion rate from our quarterback. And I know in basketball, if our 1 and 2 are shooting at that rate, they're probably not going to be on the court very long. But in baseball, that'll sure get you the Hall of Fame in big leagues. And if we've got 9 guys getting that done in our lineup, we're going to win an awful lot of baseball games and an awful lot of championships. So